Recently, one of my viewers asked if I could do a video about the steps that I took to move from Canada to Serbia, and that's what we're going to talk about today. On one of my previous videos, I had a comment by a lady by the name of Yasmina Stankovic 806. The comment read, "Great video. I would love if you could explain the steps you took to get to Serbia from Canada." And so that's what we're going to be doing, especially since that I started this process in Canada before coming to Serbia, and I'm going to talk about the bumps in the roads that I had, what I ended up having to do in order to obtain citizenship here through descent, and the things that I've learned throughout the process. And there are many ways to move to Serbia from around the world, and if that's something that you're looking to do in the near future, please feel free to reach out to us at relocationserbia.com. We will also be coming out with a relocation guide in the near future for those that are looking to come and tour Serbia, things to go and do in Serbia, and as well as those that are looking to move in Serbia. You're going to have a full about 250-page guide as to what you need to do, where you need to go, all the contact information, and so that you can set yourself up quite nicely here in Serbia. So let's dive into this topic. So coming to Serbia, I decided to move to Serbia many years before I actually did. Simply, I saw where the Canadian economy was going, what was coming in with the government taxation rules. As a business owner in Canada, I saw that it was very difficult to actually run a business. Everything was working against you. Coming from the trades, I saw that there weren't any people getting into the trades except for people that had no credentials, that were coming in from India, that were coming in from Mexico, that were coming in from various places that didn't understand the Canadian construction rules, but somehow they got their paperwork to be licensed tradesmen, and this is what you're working with. Now, yes, you were getting government subsidies to hire these foreigners. However, when you get them into your business and you're trying to actually get them to work, that's a different story. And so I noticed that Canada was on a decline for a number of years. And so what I ended up doing was I'm originally from Ontario, Canada, and we were at that point living in British Columbia, Canada. And so I was looking into what I needed to do, and the first step was to contact the embassy. And the embassy was down near Vancouver, and that was a number of hours away from us, and that wasn't something that was, manageable for us to do, because we were living on a homestead at that time, and we couldn't just leave for, days at a time to make the trip down into Vancouver to start this process. And so what we ended up doing was selling that house in British Columbia, going back to Ontario to start the process there, because we're living only about an hour away from Toronto, a few hours away from Ottawa, where there is a number of other Serbian embassies. And so when I contacted the embassies there, and this is just my experience, it took them a couple of days simply just to respond to me about what I needed to do to proceed with citizenship by descent. Now, once I was able to do that, they notified me that I needed to get my long form birth certificate. I needed to get that sent into them with a fee of, I believe it was $150 at that point, but don't quote me. I can't remember exactly what it was. And so I sent that paperwork in. I sent in the fee that they required. And once I sent that in, then they were asking me about sending in documentation from my parents' side in regard to where they were born in Serbia. So their long-form birth certificate, their lična karta, if they had that, if they had a passport in Serbia, their matičin broj, which is also called a JMBG, here in Serbia. And so one of the things is that my parents didn't have that on hand. And so I tried to reach out to the villages and the opštinas and the matičas here in Serbia where my parents were from and trying to get that, but they didn't return any of the phone calls. And so I was kind of stuck in limbo in regards to what I needed to do at that point, because I had what I needed as the paperwork, but I couldn't get the paperwork from my parents to show that I had, a lineage of being here in Serbia. We still had land here. We still had family here in Serbia. However, there wasn't any way to get someone to move forward with helping you out in obtaining that paperwork, especially if they're not, someone that's a direct descendant of my parents. They weren't able to just go in and be like, hey, we need this document because our relative in Canada needs this so that they can obtain residency. That wasn't something that was that we were able to do. And so what I ended up doing was saying, hey, listen, we contacted some family members here in Serbia and said, hey, listen, is there a way that you guys can help us if we come to Serbia and get our process started there? And so we were told by a number of family members, yes, come to Serbia. We know the people that you need to go talk to. Just give us a call when you get here, not a problem. And so, of course, my wife and I packed up our stuff, sold all our belongings that we had in Canada, and headed to Serbia. We stayed in Belgrade for a week just to kind of recover from the flight, and my wife coming into some culture shock because she's never left Canada. And so as we're driving down the highway into Belgrade from Nikola Tesla Airport, she's looking around and she's literally crying because of the culture shock she was experiencing. She said to me, Andre, I can't read anything because you got everything in the Latinica, Latin form of Serbian, and you also got the Cyrillic language here in Serbia, and you got a combination of both. So someone that's never left Canada, never learned the language, it's a little bit of a shell shock or a culture shock, should I say, for them. And so we got to Belgrade, stayed there for a week, and we headed down to the area in Šumadija that my dad was from, where we were told that we'd have connections down there. The family members said, hey, listen, come down, and once you're down here, contact us. We can get this all done. Lo and behold, we booked an Airbnb for 2 months because we were like, okay, we're going to need a little bit of time here in Serbia. Nothing moves fast. We don't want to be bouncing around. My wife at that point was pregnant with our son, and so we didn't want to put too much stress on her, and so we were able to go down there. Now, one of the things that we realized when we got to the city that we were staying in, down in Šumadija area, is that the owner of the previous place that we're staying in Belgrade never reported us to the police station so that we could get our white paper. And so when we went down to the police station down in Šumadija to change our address on our white paper, they're like, you got nothing in the system here, and so we can't help you out. And I know for a fact that is something that you need regardless of what processes you're doing to move forward with obtaining citizenship or temporary residency or permanent residency or any of those steps that you're looking to do. You need that white paper 100%. And so it's like, listen, what do we do now? And so the police station gave us a couple options that we were able to do. And we took those steps, or one of the steps that they gave us, and ended up getting our white paper within a couple days after talking to them. Went with the Airbnb host, got our white paper, and then we called up our family members and we're like, hey, listen, we're here. I'm going to rent a car. I'm going to go down to my mom's village. I'm going to go down to my dad's village. I'm going to get all the paperwork we need. And then if you can take us to the people that we need to talk to at the matična, at the opština, let's do it. Nobody answered their phone. The only woman only individual that responded to us was the woman that helped my dad get his lična karta here in Serbia 10 years ago, that worked at the opština. She said, I no longer work there. And I'm like, okay, well, do you have any colleagues in there that you know of that can help me with this process? And the response was simply, believe in God, and everything will be okay. And that was the end of that process there. We couldn't find any other information. The owner of our place didn't have a clue because, hey, listen, like, if you don't deal with foreigners or any of that stuff, you don't know the processes of obtaining citizenship here in Serbia. Especially if you're born here, never left, never had to do any of that, you're not going to be able to direct anyone. He ended up doing some looking around, and we found out that we had to get everything translated into Serbian Cyrillic. So like my long form birth certificate needed to get translated. However, we quickly found out it can't just be any translator. It has to be a court appointed translator in order to do these translations of your Canadian documents. You also had to go to Belgrade in order to get a couple things verified there and apostilled as well. And so, in Belgrade, from where we were staying, was probably about 2 hours away. And I didn't want to leave my wife that's pregnant by herself. I didn't want to, go down to Belgrade and start wandering around there. And so what I ended up doing was, after we ran out our 2 months in Šumadija, I hired a lawyer in Novi Sad. After I collected all the paperwork in my parents' villages, brought that up to me or with me to Novi Sad, hired the lawyer, and ended up getting her to move forward with the process of filing with the MOOP, which is the police station for those that are from Canada or any other countries outside of Serbia. Filed it with MOOP. They said to me, hey, listen, it's going to be about a 2 to 6 month process before you get a response as to if you will get citizenship. Luckily, it was only 2 months for me because I had all the paperwork correctly done. We've worked with individuals who've tried to do their own citizenship by descent without any guidance, and they took 10 months on their own, still weren't able to get it done, and then ended up nowadays hiring us in order to work with our lawyers and our translators to get these processes done a little bit quicker. But I was able to do it within 2 months, get my lična karta, apply for my passport, and that was it. So it was a very painless situation once I was able to get the correct individuals on my team and help me out. But, the horror stories I've heard from other individuals that have taken 10 months, that have had to jump through these hoops, hire various other lawyers because the lawyers themselves didn't know what they were doing. One thing you're going to notice here in Serbia that is very different from Western cultures, particularly in Canada and United States, is lawyers here are not in their own niche. Every lawyer can do everything. So every lawyer can do real estate, they can do citizenship, they can do temporary residency, they can do company formation. However, just because that lawyer knows how to do all of that, or should know how to do that, they don't know how to do it properly. So ensuring that you get the correct people to do these processes for you, and that's why I myself have built up a team of lawyers, I've built up a team of accountants, I've built up a team of contacts that we here at Relocation Serbia can service any of the people that come with what they want and get their processes done, one, smoothly and efficiently, and the third is correctly, because there's nothing like filing incorrect paperwork here in Serbia, waiting just to find out that it was not done correct, and now you have to jump through numerous other hoops. And so that is our story, or my story, of what it took me to obtain citizenship by descent coming from Canada to Serbia. And for those that are looking to move from Canada, because we're getting a number of individuals contacting us from Canada, from the United States, looking to move back to Serbia. Either their parents left former Yugoslavia, they've had some sort of land here or whatever, and asking us what they need. And so you need all the paperwork from your family in order to proceed within Canada or United States. However, if you do not have those documents or are not able to access them, the best way might be to come to Serbia, start the process here. Contact us here at Relocation Serbia so that we can help you get the process done as smoothly and as efficiently as possible. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.